I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First of all, we'd like to thank the Louisville Male High School ROTC Color Guard for joining us today. Also, I think we should recognize that this is our first concert, our first live concert performance since pre-COVID. It's a big accomplishment for us to be able to be here today to celebrate Veterans Day, to show our appreciation for those who have served, those who do serve. I also want to remind you students that when we are in an auditorium for a performance, there are expectations about our behavior. I know that this is the first assembly of this kind that most of you have attended in a very long time. It's also one where we are especially aware of showing our respect and gratitude for the topic at hand, which is Veterans Day. So I know that all of our 8th grade students today, as well as all of the 6th and 7th grade students that are watching in their classrooms via live stream, are going to be able to recognize the reverence that's associated with an event like this, which means we're going to be quiet during transitions. There'll be different times when we're showing different videos of interviews with veterans. At no time during the presentation should we need to remind you to be quiet. There are no times during the presentation where you would need to talk to your neighbors. So make sure you're being mindful and respectful of the veterans that we are celebrating and also of our performers for our Patriotic concert who have worked very hard to prepare for this day. I'm so pleased to be able to be here with each of you. We've waited a long time for a day when our student performers can show off their hard work and talent, and I'm thrilled that we're able to do it today in such a special way in order to honor our veterans. Remember, as you go throughout the day, when you leave Barrett today, or anytime you see a veteran going forward, to thank them for their service, because all of the freedoms that we have today are not free and came at the cost of someone else's sacrifice. We hope that you look forward to the presentation. I look forward to it myself, and I also look forward to the Barrett students that are in the room representing us well with the Barrett way every day. Thank you.
When Francis K. Scott wrote the Star-Spangled Banner almost 200 years ago, he called America the land of the free and the home of the brave. Those words are as true today as they were then. Throughout this nation's history, America's soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and Coast Guardsmen have bravely answered the call to defend our freedom, to aid our friends and allies, and to turn back aggressors. We can never fully repay our debt of gratitude to the more than 650,000 American service members who died in battle, or the 1.4 million who were wounded. We can, however, recognize and thank the 25 million veterans still living today. These words are inscribed on the Korean War Memorial in Washington, D.C. Our nation honors her sons and daughters who answered the call to defend a country they never knew and a people they never met. Those words apply equally to many of our World War I, World War II, Vietnam War, and Gulf War veterans as well. They apply to today's active duty service members, tomorrow's veterans, who are helping to maintain peace throughout the world. Today, it is our privilege to say thank you to all of America's veterans, to let them know that we appreciate them for their service and honor them for their sacrifices. The price of freedom is high. We cannot afford to forget those willing to pay it. Today, we celebrate America's veterans for keeping this nation the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early night what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars for the perilous fight of the ramparts we watch were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets were glad, and was bursting in air, gave proof through the night still there. Oh, Satan's that star-spangled banner yet wave. For the land of the free and the home of the brave. the soldiers who have traveled on to countries far and near. In peace and war you paid the price for the cause you hold so dear. That we may wake each morning bright and know that freedom reigns. Because of your great sacrifice, your country joins to sing. Thank you, oh thank you, men and women brave and strong. To those who serve so gallantly, we sing this grateful song. Thank you, oh thank you, men and women brave and strong. To those who serve so gallantly, we sing this grateful song.
Thank you, orchestra, choir, and band students for your performance. A few weeks ago, students submitted questions that they would like to ask a veteran.
At this time, please direct your attention to the screen as we hear from two veterans as they answer the questions that you submitted.
First, we would like to thank you for your service.
What branch did you serve?
Well, thank you very much, and I'm glad to answer your questions today. I served in the United States Army.
Why did you choose that branch, the military?
Well, when I was 17 years senior in high school, had a conversation with my father about college and how to pay for it. And so that was the reason that I joined the Army, because I needed money for school. And I was also very interested in becoming an Army paratrooper. Seemed very adventurous to me. And at age 18, it was just something that I really wanted to do.
Where do you think you would be if you didn't join the military?
I think paying for school would have been a lot more difficult if I hadn't joined the military. On the other hand, I might have been finished with school a little bit earlier because I did have to spend time serving in the United States Army.
Do you remember anything about the day you were enlisted?
Yes, I do. I remember I had very long hair. And when I got to Fort Benning, Georgia, they laughed at me. The barber shaved half my head, then spun me around in the mirror, and then spun me around again and shaved the other half off, and that was all. That's what I remember the most from my first day.
Do you know what your family, their reactions of how you joining the military?
Yes, my father was a little bit apprehensive. He wasn't quite sure if I was Army material, but at the same time, he was very proud of me, and I assured him that everything would be fine, and it was.
Are there any other stories you're okay with sharing?
Yes, the most frightening episode in my time in the military was when my parachute collapsed on me. There were about 800 paratroopers in the air, and we were so close together. Another fellow floated across the top of my canopy and collapsed it. I immediately started falling very rapidly. I was just about to pull my reserve parachute, which you wear right here. And just as I was about to pull it and deploy it, the real parachute redeployed, popped open again. By then, I was very close to the ground, but I hit pretty hard, but I was okay. That was the scariest thing.
And are there any advice you would give to the students today?
Well, if you're considering the military as either a career or as just something you want to do for a few years as a job or as a means of paying for school, it's certainly good for that. You have the opportunity to travel around the world, but you just have to make sure that it's a good fit for you. So do your research, speak to your recruiters, try to speak to people that had already been in. Like everything in life, it has its positive and negative aspects. But for me personally, it turned out to be a very good thing, and I'm very glad that I did it.
Thank you, Mr. Merja.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for your questions. I'm honored.
Hi, I'm Elliot Dotson. And I'm Anthony Cook. Thank you for your time today. So the first thing we want to know is what is your name, title, and what branch did you serve in?
Hi, good morning. So I'm Lieutenant Colonel Shannon Stroud. My friends call me Nikki, and I served in the United States Army and then also the United States Army Reserves.
So why did you decide to serve in the armed forces?
Well, I made the decision back in high school. I served in, as part of the program called JROTC, where you get to put on the uniform and do drill and ceremony. And it just really interested me, and it created this idea of patriotism and service. And so I applied for and was granted a scholarship where I went into the Reserve Officer Training Corps in college. And that's where I commissioned into the United States Army.
Interesting. So where do you think you would be right now if you did not join the military?
That's a great question, and something that I actually have never thought about because I've been in the uniform for so long. I would most likely be in Louisville, Kentucky, where I'm from. That's where the majority of my family lives, and probably working in healthcare. But there was a point when I was active duty that I did leave active service when I married my husband and went back to school in North Carolina and got my master's degree and went into, started working for healthcare. But I always stayed in uniform. I was always in the reserves. So I guess I would probably be in healthcare somewhere. But it's difficult to think about because I just really can't imagine doing anything else.
Yeah. So what do you remember about the day you enlisted, and how did your family react?
So I didn't enlist. I actually commissioned. So when you go through the Reserve Officer Training Corps, you commission as an officer once you graduate with your degree. And I had the amazing opportunity to commission twice. I had two ceremonies, one official, one unofficial. The official ceremony was at the university. I went to Morehead State University, and all of my family was there. And it was just very, very, I don't know, it was very touching. It was a wonderful, wonderful time. You get to dress up, and then they pin your bars on you. But the other time was something I'll never forget. It was actually at the White House, and we were sworn in by the acting Secretary of the Army, I believe, and got to meet George W. Bush, the president, and so that was really, really interesting. And so I got to commission along with many others. I was representing the state of Kentucky while I was there, and so there were other folks from different services. We had the Navy, we had the Air Force, Marines, and Coast Guard, I believe, at that time. So it was a really amazing opportunity.
Yeah. All right. And are there any stories like you're comfortable sharing?
Sure, I have lots of stories. I'll have to think about a couple of interesting ones that I can share. So, one of the things that I did while I was on active duty that was pretty interesting was I jumped out of airplanes. And, it's very, very nerve-wracking and dangerous at times. And there was one time I was jumping out of an airplane in Alaska, and it was nighttime. And when I landed in the snow. It had been snowing, tons of snow. And as I'm walking through the snow, I look up at night and I see the northern lights. And so that was really, really interesting. I don't know if you guys have ever seen what the northern lights look like, but it's very, it was just such an amazing thing to see. And the other thing that I would share is when I was deployed overseas to Iraq, I had an amazing opportunity to go to an all-girls school in Iraq and pass out school supplies. And we taught the kids some things about hygiene, and you got to interact with all of the girls. And it's funny because you can pass out books all day, but the one thing that they really want are soccer balls. They want soccer balls. They love soccer balls there. And so, you've got all these supplies and backpacks and things that you want to pass out, but really they're just interested in the soccer balls. So really no different than any student here. I think you guys would prefer a soccer ball over a book any day, but so those are the stories that I'd love to share.
Yeah. So, do you have any advice that you'd give any students today?
I would just say, don't hold yourself back from anything. It really doesn't matter, where you came from. It really only matters where you're going. And so, you don't have to be bound by your limitations, because I assure you, I did not. If you had told me that I would be a master's educated lieutenant colonel in the United States Army Reserves, I would have laughed when I was your age. No way I could do that, right? My parents don't have the money to send me to school. That's, I can't even imagine what I would have thought at your age. And so, if there's something that you want to do, don't limit yourself. My husband just retired after 20 years of service, and his high school guidance counselor tried to talk him into going into the military. And he ended up not only enlisting in the military, but going to West Point. And then now he just retired after 20 years of amazing service. So please don't let anyone ever talk you out of something amazing.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.
Okay, can we give another hand for all the participants in today's program? The chorus, the orchestra, the band, the speakers, and those who conducted the interview. Really, really good job, everyone. Veterans Day is a great reminder of the liberties that we have in this country, that we shouldn't take it for granted, and that there are many people who sacrifice for us to have those liberties. And the fact that we get to actually have a program here at Barrett is incredible. And I hope you recognize what a special moment this is. So let's talk about what's going to happen next. I'm assuming that chorus, orchestra, and band can stay here. Is that correct? Chorus, orchestra, and band will stay here. The rest of the 8th grade